What's up, guys? Hope everyone's having a great day. And today we are going to be talking about MBA versus law school. Which is better? Which is worth more? What is right? What is wrong? What are the pros and cons? We're going to talk about all that stuff. So, a few things. If this is your first time coming to the channel, first time seeing one of my videos, thank you again for tuning in. A little bit about myself. I do have my own MBA, and I was a legal recruiter for several years and have interviewed many lawyers. I have family members who are lawyers. My girlfriend's a lawyer. And so I've gotten a very interesting perspective on people that either previously were considering law school or business school, as well as what are the circumstances post-graduation of both, and what are the realities of things. So we're going to be breaking down a few increments. We're going to talk about kind of, number one, salary expectation. What are the definitive kind of what can you expect from both an MBA as well as a law degree, as well as what are the realities of the job and if it's the right move for you. So we're going to break this down, and I like to do these kind of like with my coffee and I want to just imagine that I'm kind of speaking to you friend to friend, and giving you solid advice that I would give anybody, any one of my colleagues or peers or friends as well. Okay, so go ahead, let's get started. So to give you guys a little bit of background as well, there was a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, I was considering both law school or MBA school. And I actually originally was considering law school and decided to take the LSAT. And I was in the LSAT for several months, LSAT prep course, and I definitely met a certain amount of people. And at this time, as well as a legal recruiter, and I interviewed about 500 lawyers during this period of time, and I got to see exactly all the high scale law offices, small scale, everybody in that area. And I learned a lot from that. And then I decided to go to business school, and I'll tell you why a little bit later in the video. Decided to go to business school instead, and great, phenomenal time. And they both kind of are very interesting, and you definitely need a certain mindset. So number one, I think you should always ask, what is your why? What is your starting point? Why are you actually deciding to go to business school, to go to law school? The people I noticed that really succeeded in both already had that idea of going to law school back in the day when they were in college or high school even. And that was their dream. They had a strong enough why to kind of push forward. And also they were uniquely designed for it. If you're like a history major, a poli-sci major, they had certain analytical skills to deep dive and read a lot. You have to read so many contracts, essays. You got to be an avid reader. You got to love grammar and composition and English language, and be able to just like really hunker down and focus and do that for hours and hours on end. Business school, you have a little bit more of an operational point of view, looking at the analytics, looking at mathematics, looking at finance. Myself, when I went to business school, I was more of a sales and marketing guy. And I thought it'd be really good, and it could help improve certain skill sets that, I thought I was weak in terms of finance. I didn't have a lot of financial literacy or knowledge of the vocabulary, and I knew that that would kind of complement my already skill set. So you got to first know about the why. Why are you looking into both things? That's number one. So let's talk about financial. What is really the ROI of each one? So let's talk about MBA salaries, okay? So MBA salaries, what is like really kind of what can you expect? Well, potentially it can even double your salary. That's like the big payoff. With an MBA salary, you can pretty much go into a lot of different realms. You can go into being a sales director, you can be a marketing director, you can be something in finance or business analytics. The biggest ones paying right now are in the analytics realm: data scientists, business analytics, finance. Those are your main things. Now, if you're in finance, you can really go upwards. You can easily be going easily 6 figures, possibly more. If you're a high level marketing person and you're doing a certain product, you can also be in kind of the 1 to 120 range. If you are doing consulting, I have a friend who had an MBA 1 year ahead of mine. He went right into a consulting program, easily 80K. He was easily making 80K starting salary, and he's since worked that up to about 120K. So there's a lot of different high-level positions an MBA can, but you gotta have that analytics background too. So finance and marketing and understanding that, those are major high skill sets you wanna have. If you're an undergrad and you're going to right into business school and then going right at you're still going to have to kind of start at an entry level, and I'd say about a 60K marker. So that is something to kind of target. And a usual starting salary, this is on average, usual starting salary, if you have a little bit of if you have your undergrad, you have a little bit of experience, you're getting your MBA, and you're getting right out, you're looking around 70 to 80K. That's kind of it. Now, it's different for everybody else. It depends also where you're living. Your cost of living is factored into that. Remote work, the type of role, the industry you're in. But whatever you are at, it can basically push you up above another level. So if you were like a middle manager, this can push you up to a director. If you're an entry level, this can push you up to a middle manager. And so it can potentially double your salary. But an MBA itself is just way more fluid. It can be used in a whole different range of things. Now let's talk about law salaries. Law salaries were very interesting to me, especially as I was a recruiter and I found out kind of the data behind this. So an entry level lawyer, you just got out. You're brand new on the market. You're only looking to make between 60 to 90K. This is after you've already passed the bar exam, and you're ready to go. If you're a lawyer with 2 to 3 years experience, you can make between 76K and 116K. Okay, a little bit higher. If you're a lawyer about 5 years experience, you can expect between 88K and 137K. If you're a lawyer with 10 years experience, you'd be making between 110K, between 157K. Okay, this is on average right now. Okay, this is national average statistics. Now it does range, it does depend on where you're living too. So here's some things that I did realize. How hard it was to find a position as a new entry-level lawyer, especially if you're living in a major city. There's a lot of major cities that have more than one law school, and those people all come out at the same time. So you have all of a sudden 10,000, 20,000 lawyers coming out of a major city at the same time, and they're all looking for work at the same time. And they would call me up, I get an enormous amount of resumes, and I have to let them know, like, hey, I know I have ties with every law firm in our city. And I can let you know that I only have like 5 openings. That's it. It's not a lot of wiggle room. So I'll give you my best advice for how to accomplish that, but just letting you know, it's a lot harder to find a role as a good attorney than it is if you have an MBA. Now with an MBA, obviously the range is a lot more. You could be making 60K, you can be making up to 150K. It depends already on your predetermined industry you're going into, but to get the high level paying jobs as an MBA, you have to make sure that it has some kind of metrics, analytics, business, numbers background. Then you can have scale. That's going to be a high income skill set that you can use. Okay, so here's some of the other advice. I wanted to kind of give you guys what people have told me about working conditions. So if you're an MBA, a lot of people try to get into consulting. If you're going to be doing consulting, you're going to be traveling like all the time, and you're going to be working 60 hours a week for that consulting role. If you are a lawyer, and I interviewed probably 500 people, I only knew one person that actually liked the role, and he was a JD MBA. So he was the exception to the rule. He had both. He had a JD MBA. That could be another option for you. It takes about 4 years working full time. And it does designate that you will be getting a lot more money. And usually the people that get JD MBAs are ones that want to go into corporate positions. They're not interested in having their own law firm down the road. They're also not interested in being like a mid-level guy. They are really like the general counsel of a major company. So a lot of people that I would talk to who was like the head general counsel of certain major corporations usually had that same thing of JD MBA. And that is a very hard track, but if you feel like you got a good grasp of both, you can do that. But the reality was that a lot of lawyers, what they expected versus the reality of what they were working, it's a lot more intensive. You got to do billable hours. And my girlfriend, for example, is going through this right now, that she has to put in so much time. You're already kind of putting in 60 hours a week easily in law school. It's not going to all of a sudden just go away. It's going to keep being that same amount for a given amount of time. That's kind of the general rule of thumb, and that's kind of what I found from interviewing so many people. There's always a few exceptions, but that's kind of common. For an MBA, the people that the reality is that I have a lot of MBA friends. I'm an MBA. Now, I'm very lucky in life, which is great, and lucky in business, but a lot of my friends are not really employed at the moment. So that's something to consider. Now, nothing against it, but I don't think they position themselves the best they could. All the people that were working while doing their MBA, that had an internship or a side hustle, right? Or were job hunting and networking at the same time of their MBA, all got set up. They positioned themselves accordingly to get set up for having a role at the end of their term, at the end of grad school. So yeah, all my friends that were actually being proactive while they're at school, they weren't just at school and then learning and then just thought, I'll be okay after I graduate. Those are the people that they got set back a whole year. And I'm sure they're going to get the job they want in the future, but it really set them back. Instead of pre-paving the way and being prepared for whatever happens, as well as like having some things set up, not when they graduate, but a little bit before they graduate. That's kind of the sweet spot. So that's kind of how you can maximize your best way if you decide to go either or. So I've noticed that with people who, if you're deciding which way to go, it depends on you. And I would really recommend to place to your strengths. Really know yourself first. Know what you're good at, know what you're not good at. Make a list of your top 10 skills, what you think you're good on. The people that I think are the best type of lawyers really can be focused. They love to read. They love to, analyze. Because a lot of like what law really takes, a lot of people think of like courtroom law. They're having like a conversation, they're arguing back. That's not really, that's like 5% of the time. A lot of it is really contracts. It's contracts, doing due diligence. It's looking, you got to really like nitpick the details. And so you got to be able to read a lot. So if you love to read, if you love to study, if you love to focus for large amounts of time, might be a good way to go. If you're more kind of like me, if you're much more of a talker, and more of a person that wants to see a bird's eye view of something, then maybe business school is the best thing for you. And I kind of made that decision because I really like business. I like sales. I like communication. And I knew that my biggest weakness was finance. And I knew that with an MBA, I can take what I know and make it better, and take what I'm weak at and make that. So, but what was interesting was the LSAT versus the GMAT. LSAT is all English composition. Okay, it's all grammar, it's looking at essays, it's rewriting the essays, it's looking at the details. With the MBA, a big part of that was also the mathematics. So when I took the LSAT, it actually helped me get better at the GMAT, which is the test for the MBA. And because I was already naturally skilled in mathematics, those two kind of went hand in hand. So basically, know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, make sure that whatever path is actually aligning with where you want to be down the road, but also kind of the path of least resistance. And I'm not saying don't work hard, but you want to make sure it's congruent to, what you're already good at and what you love to do. And, something you can be proud of in the future. If you do decide to go to business school, make sure you optimize your thing and check out the other videos we have on this, on how you can make the most out of your MBA. And you want to make sure that you're proactive in your search and setting yourself up for success post-graduation, because that's going to make the biggest difference between, and it's going to make you a lot more money in the long run, trust me. For a law degree, the best advice I can give you, and this is what happens, is that it's going to be really tough for you to find a job in a major city when you're entry level. It's not impossible, it's really tough. Same rules apply. Try to get a clerkship, try to get an internship, try to really hustle while you're, hustle networking while you're in law school. Otherwise, you'll have to move out of the big city and work for a smaller law firm in another smaller city for about 2 to 5 years. It's kind of the general thing. 2 to 5 years living in another city. And then at that point, you have experience of 5 years. You are way more valuable. You can definitely come back to a major city at the right time, and you could be making that kind of income. So it's really tough if you're an entry-level person to find work and to find good work. I would recommend moving out, getting the experience, coming back in at a precise time. And then you can you'll be way more valuable, and you'll be higher cost of living, and it's just more enjoyable overall. Okay, so I hope that was very I hope that was helpful. I really do. And I know it can be a dilemma. I face the same kind of crossroads in life. I can say, looking back on it, and seeing my girlfriend and what she has to do every day, like, I couldn't do that. I'd be totally miserable. With business school, it's something I really enjoy, and I love learning the concepts, and I'm always looking at the basics. So make sure you're knowing yourself first before you make that decision. And I really wish you well. I would love to hear from comments, people what decision you guys make. If you guys are interested, I do a free resume review. I do help with consulting if you're looking for how can you raise your salary a little bit more. How do you want to do a mock interview if you're looking for jobs? What other jobs are on the market that maybe you're not seeing? I'd be happy to schedule a one-on-one with you and help you through that process. If you're also looking for a job, let me know. I might be able to help. Send me an email. I'll put my email in the description below. Send out any comments. Check out some of our other videos talking about how to do proper job searching and other related topics. All right, guys. Hope that was helpful as well. Have a great rest of your day. Stay happy and safe. Cheers.